Is inclusive language really inclusive? Today, we're going to be talking about who inclusive language hurts the most. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Called and Unqualified, a Create, Worship, Inspire video series. So my name is Brenna and I'm a college student, and my area of study falls into the arts and humanities category, so I try to spend a lot of my time inside and outside of the classroom thinking for myself. So my only qualifications for today's topic has been my involvement in higher education. So I've had a handful of different experiences and involvement on my college campus. I was a receptionist for a welcome center, I was a resident assistant in a residential hall, and I was a club leader for one of the Christian groups on campus. So with all of these positions, I experienced the re-education of inclusive language. So for those of you that don't know what inclusive language is, please let me explain. Inclusive language aims to avoid offense and fulfills the ideals of egalitarianism by avoiding expressions that express or imply ideas that are sexist, racist, or otherwise biased. So some of the words and phrases that fall under this category of offensive are mailman, you guys, pretty much any other common word or phrase that refers to gender. I do agree that any racial slur does need to be taken out of our vocabulary and really isn't okay to use. My issue instead with inclusive language is more of its political agenda, but also its threat to free speech. Because most of my exposure that I've had to the re-education of inclusive language has been with words and phrases that deal with gender. So my first week of college, during one of my classes, we were taught that the word mailman was offensive. To this, my natural reaction was, why? Because mailman makes one assume that the person doing the job is a man. But what if it's a woman? But I was under the impression that the word mailman referred more to the occupation than the gender of the person doing the job. It referred more to the job of delivering the mail than femininity or masculinity. But that also could just be me. A lot of institutions, especially higher education, are pushing for the changing of these words to be taken out of our natural vocabulary, because apparently just the understanding that this refers to more than one gender isn't enough. The word itself needs to be inclusive too. So at this time, I was a new college student. I didn't have the confidence to say anything, so I just rolled my eyes to myself and tried to carry on with my work. But then this issue bled into my work positions. And I can't lie, I was a little shocked. The next time that I was exposed to inclusive language was during the training for my first on-campus job as a receptionist. But now we weren't just being made aware of it. Now we were being told that we needed to change our speech patterns to be professional and respectful. That's a little weird, but it's doable. Because honestly, during my receptionist job, I didn't really deal with inclusive language that much. When I really started to see how twisted this set of ideals were, it was when I took my resident assistant job. So for those of you that don't know, a resident assistant, or an RA, is a student employee that is given another group of students to look after. So we maintain emotional support and make sure the student settles in and has everything that they need. So naturally, this job would attract a lot of students that care about other people that want to be emotional support for others. So they hit us really hard with inclusive language during our training. Our supervisors told us that the phrase "you guys" creates a masculinity-dominated environment. And the phrase "ladies and gentlemen" referred to a binary gender spectrum, so we couldn't use it. Now, I don't know where all of you are from, but I'm from California, and we use "you guys" just casually in conversation, and we all understand that it's not referring to gender, it's just referring to a group of people. As RAs, we were also unable to refer to any of our residents by gender. We also couldn't use pronouns with our residents, just in the case that we were going to misgender them. This made us really afraid that whenever we were talking, we were going to offend our residents, and we deeply cared about them. So I don't know if you all are following this, but try to imagine this. You have a room of strongly empathetic 18 to 22-year-olds that were just told that their natural speech patterns that they've been using their whole life are going to offend people and send them into an unhealthy emotional state. And so now I would like to address the real point of this video, the problem with inclusive language. During RA training, they told us that our natural speech patterns were going to offend the people that we deeply wanted to protect, that it was our job to protect. and this naturally caused a lot of anxiety for a lot of us, one of them being myself. I had one friend who was very strongly left-leaning in her political views, and even she had to step out of the room because she used the phrase "you guys" just as a natural part of conversation her whole life. It's just a part of our California culture. She started to become restless because she was just told that the things that she naturally does were actually working against some of the things that she really deeply cared about. And some of you really may not want to hear this, but I truly believe that this issue is blown up to be a bigger deal than it really is. So what? This hyper-focus of inclusive language makes a lot of people anxious, but it's to protect minorities anyway, right? So that means that more people are suffering with this correction than more people that are being protected. But let's say, for instance, the people that are trying to be protected are the majority. And so this is why I want to point out who inclusive language really hurts the most. The people that suffer the most from inclusive language are the people who it is trying to protect. Let's say, for example, you're a high school student. You're just about to go into college, and all throughout high school, you've been a member of the LGBT community. You've learned that people are going to misgender you, and that might offend you, but you just learn that this is a natural part of life, and you learn to move past it. But now you move to college, and everybody tells you that everyone needs to cater to your worldview. The things that offend you aren't okay, and other people need to change to make sure that your mental health stays where it needs to be. So now your mental health isn't in your hands, it's in the hands of others. And if they don't change their speech patterns, you're told that they intentionally want to offend you and they don't really care about your feelings. You are fine making it through high school. But now, you are told that everybody that doesn't agree with you wants to hurt you. So now for the next 4 years, you're going to be kept in this bubble where you are told the world revolves around you and your feelings, and everything needs to be changed to make you comfortable. But what then happens when you graduate? You're most likely pushed into the job market, and you're going to be landed a job with a bunch of diverse thinkers. I said in my last video that I believe that college is a time to prepare you for adulthood and to be a part of the real world. This does not prepare somebody to live in a world of diversity. From my understanding, this would create more stress, anxiety, and more of a significant impact on somebody's self-esteem than if they had continued to just learn to live in a world where not everybody thinks like them. This robs minorities of their resiliency. This creates an environment of hypersensitivity. Of course, I don't agree with using language that offends people for good reason, but the problem with inclusive language isn't the words themselves. It's that we understand that these words mean something different, so they don't need to change. I don't know about you, but I am much more concerned with the heart behind the words than the words themselves. If your heart is in the right place, your words will also follow. Even if you don't belong to one of these groups, inclusive language teaches you to look for offense in people's words that isn't even there. This also trains you that it is other people's job to make you feel comfortable. It gives other people control of your mental health and your feelings. So why are we still pushing the inclusive language agenda if it creates anxiety, stress, and a false reality? Inclusive language advocates will try to tell you that this gives you control, but it actually doesn't. You are surrendering your control. So if you're somebody that doesn't agree with inclusive language, what do you do now? So I'm still in college, and I'm still trying to figure out how to deal with this issue too. I still care about respecting people, but I also don't want to give in and surrender what I believe to be true. But I believe there's a way to do both of these things. Find community of people who agree with you. It's going to make you feel a lot less alone, and you'll have people there to support you. Treat everybody with respect. Speak the same way to people that you disagree with the people that you agree with. Remember that everybody's hurting, but also everybody's a potential friend too. Represent your views well with being kind to people that don't agree with you. I promise they'll be much more likely to listen. And I think that that's the biggest thing that can be done. Just have a conversation about this. I opened a conversation about this with some of my other RA coworkers, and we actually were able to just talk about this. It's likely that you won't be able to change the system, but you don't have to give in to it either. So that's the biggest thing. Don't get distracted. Change minds, not the system. Focus on the changing of hearts rather than the vocabulary. Okay friends, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all continue to stay well and safe. Also, please be sure to like this video if you haven't already, but also subscribe and follow Create, Worship, Inspire on Instagram. Please comment down below to keep the conversation going, but also be sure to suggest topics that you would like to talk about. See you next time! So I just want to remind you guys that this channel and this episode are sponsored by success@daytrading.com. Go check them out. Looking for a quick, flexible way to supplement or replace income? Even if you're just starting out or looking to improve your day trading skills, success@daytrading.com offers education, coaching, and software to help you reach your financial goals. No prior experience is required and no need to risk your own money. We'll train you to trade our money. Visit success@daytrading.com.